So,
All right, good morning. How are we doing today, everybody?
Good.
All right. I wanted to go through a couple of quick things with you. Greta, I forgot to mention this in the session just 2 seconds ago, but there is a group that is called, how do I do this? There's a group that's called KW Command on Facebook.
okay.
Okay, there's 36,500 agents in that group. Okay, there is another group that I'm looking at that is called KW Command Help and KW Command or KW Technology Masterminding. There are
Okay.
26,000 people in that group. I'm going to post them both right here. That's one of them. And here is the other one. So there is a good chance that if you're experiencing any issue within Command, you're having trouble adding a contact or starting a smart plan or fixing the buyer presentation template or any of that kind of thing, those places are really good resources. Help. I can't figure out how to save this buyer presentation. Has anyone done this successfully? Help. I do not know. I don't have a design eye. Who can make this presentation pretty? I will pay you. Right?
Yeah. Yeah.
And you will get smothered with your colleagues from our area and other areas who have already spent the time and the hours trying to get those questions answered. Okay. So
Cool. Thank you so much.
So I would highly recommend that you engage with those two groups. There's all kinds of little this week in Command, and here's a cool tip I just figured out, or watch this video or whatever. So those are two great resources for you. Okay.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay. Let's do some housekeeping really fast. If you have not responded to the PC meet and greet, that is going to be tomorrow night from 6 o'clock to 8 o'clock. We will be providing dinner and a couple of door prizes. So if we're obviously more than happy to have you guys as well as a +1. So if you have a spouse, significant other, friend, child, date, I don't care, somebody who's your biggest cheerleader, bring them. I want them to, to hear a little bit more about what we do. We're going to have a little kind of introduction of kind of our transition plan going back into some in-person opportunities. We're going to talk about a leadership council that we have created. And we are also going to introduce a training program. So in addition to the coaching, a training program particularly aimed at newer agents to make sure that they get started at a high level. Okay. So if you have not RSVP'd, please let me know whether you're in and whether you're bringing a +1 or not. Okay. Any questions on that? It is at the Market Center. Any questions on that? Okay, perfect. Yesterday, I did not have the July calendar in front of me, but I'm going to make a couple of recommendations for classes this week. Okay. The first thing I'd like to do is talk about Thursday from 1:30 to 2:30, and that is Win with Powerful Special Stipulations and Negotiations. That is with Sissy Williams. And then on Friday, we have contingencies and more, including backup offers and right to request repairs with Melba. That is on Zoom. That is from 10 to 11:30 on the 9th. My hunch is that this calendar will be sent out today to the office, but it is available at the office. Okay. And of course, don't forget about our event tomorrow evening. Okay. Okay. The other housekeeping thing I wanted to go over is some of the numbers. So guys, I just want to give everyone a big round of applause. You guys did really, really well last month. Okay. We still have We just beat it. Somebody just reported an appointment. So we now, we set 110 appointments last month, which beat our goal by 1. And we took 56 listings, which is a little short of our goal, 82% of our goal. But we closed 27 properties. Okay, a little short of our goal, but that's the best we've ever done. And our group earned $221,000, you guys. That's the best by far we've ever had. So I just want to take a moment to congratulate you on that. The Market Center at large had the best month it's ever had. Okay, and you guys were a big part of that. Okay, 27 closed units, that's phenomenal. We also put 28 homes under contract. So we'll probably have another strong month next month too. Great job. Great job. To keep the reporting easy, what we're going to do is still report on Sunday night. So the first week of July will be reporting from the 1st of July all the way through, I think it's the 11th of July. So the first week will be a little longer. So just keeping track of those numbers, and we'll finally report them on Sunday. Okay. All right. Any housekeeping questions? All right. I want to introduce a couple of topics today, and I want to give credit where credit is due. Today, we're going to be talking about finding the motivated. That is from the Shift book. Okay. We are on tactic number 4, finding the motivated. Okay. So let me share a couple of things with you guys. Would you agree that there are some people that appear to be motivated that actually aren't actually that motivated?
Yes, I would agree. I have one.
Right.
Yeah, I agree.
Okay, so one of the best things to do to figure out whether this person is motivated or not, and what the degree of motivation is you could even ask them straight up, right? Say, hey, listen, I want my urgency level to match your urgency level. Okay, as soon as you say go, I'm going to be all over it. You're going to be stunned at the amount of attention you get. But I just want to make sure I'm clear on how committed are you to moving to this school district, or to selling this house and downsizing, or to buying that condo in town, or to building a new property, right? One is I kind of just thought of it and it's not so meaningful to me. 10 is my wife has been in Chicago for 3 months and I'm tired of not being with her, right? So I'm ready to get this done tomorrow or now, right? So you can test them. Just if you're ever curious, give them the 1 to 10 test, right? Hey, I just want to, make sure that my motivation lacks your motivation and my sense of urgency matches yours. So Julian, on a scale of 1 to 10, 1 is you plan to stay in this apartment forever, and 10 is you're ready to be a homeowner and build equity immediately, right? It's a little assumptive. Where are you? Go ahead, let's
9.
play it out.
9.
You're a 9. Okay, so tell me, how come you didn't say a 10? I'm just curious.
My wife, she's dragging her heels.
Okay, so you're probably a 10, your wife's probably an 8, and the average to be a 9?
I guess.
Okay, so I've done a few things there. Number 1, I've created he's having fun now, right? He laughed a little, he's smiling. We've kind of like, it's not as, I've lowered the tension level, right? He's opened up a tiny bit to me, okay? Whenever they say whatever they say, ask him why it's not higher, right? Or if it's like a 2, say, gosh, a 2. I mean, how come you didn't say a 1? Just out of curiosity, right? Ask him a follow-up question around that so you can really figure out what's going on. So I don't really need to work on Julian so much. I got to work on his wife. Make sense? Julian's ready to sign paperwork. So now I might go to the wife and say, tell me a little bit about where you are with respect to this, right? What's on your mind, right? Well, I'm worried about pulling the kids out of school 2 months early. Okay, great. Good to know. So is that your only concern? So outside of pulling the kids out of school, is there anything that would stop you from being a 10? No. Okay, so that's the only thing we got to work on. Y'all see how that happened? Okay, and all the language I'm using is us, we, together, team, yada, yada, yada. when we do this together, when we start this. You follow what I'm saying? Okay. Let me read you a couple of quotes from this. Or let me read you the steps, and then I'm going to read a couple of quotes. Okay. Step number 1. This is perfect Gary Keller. Okay. It is straight to the point. Number 1, stop doing what doesn't work. Okay. Step 2, figure out what does work. He's referring to lead generation, by the way. Right. The next step is, well, he talks a good bit about the difference between prospecting and marketing. Okay. Taking open houses beyond the basics. Step 3, ramp it up. So quit doing what doesn't work, find out what does work, and then ramp it up, right? Make sure you have the time in your calendar specifically for that, and knowing exactly what you do during that, that time. And then lastly is get in the path of business. Okay. So you think you're more likely to meet people that are urgent and ready to go? Let me give you 2 choices. 1 is at an open house, and 2 is receiving a call telling me that there's an open house around the corner. I'll answer
Around the
for you.
corner.
No, it's the other one. Because in one scenario, let's say Julie and I call you as a complete stranger, and you just so happen to live on the street of the open house that I'm going to be hosting. You've not raised your hand one bit and identified yourself as a prospect. Michael, on the other hand, who shows up at my open house, has decided that that was the single most important activity that man could do at that moment. Make sense? So he has expressed himself as somebody who is genuinely interested. Now I just got to figure out why he's interested. Julian, I gotta start a little bit earlier with you. I gotta do some suggestive language with you. Like, for example, when was the last time you thought about moving? If you were to move, where would you be moving to? Right? On a scale of 1 to 10, when would that happen? Or would that be more likely to happen in 2021, 2028? What do you think? Right? Well, if I could get 500,000 for my home, then I'd probably move. Oh, wow, that's a whole different story. Would you mind if I did a little research for you now? You might be surprised. Research says 475, call you back in a month. You see what I'm saying? Okay, so let me read you this quote. Well, actually, before I do that, can anyone explain to me the difference between prospecting and marketing really quickly? Come on, somebody take a stab at it.
Well, marketing's
Marketing's
kind of
passive.
passive. I was going to say that too.
Okay.
And prospecting, you're actually making an effort to
Active.
reach out to people and connect with them.
All right.
You're doing the work. You're not waiting for them to come to you.
Ooh, okay, good. I like the way you said that. Julian, did you want to add anything to that?
I was just said active. So one's a, deliberate act, and the other is passive.
Okay, and generally speaking, which is more expensive?
The passive. No,
But let's say it the other way, which is marketing, right?
Yeah, the marketing.
Okay, and why is it more expensive?
you have to target a larger audience.
I wasn't actually going to go in that direction, but I like that. Yep. I mean, you're usually like, there's some kind of like, postage or colorful postcards, or there's something, there's like an expense that has to happen, right? Okay, here's one. Anyone else want to add to that? Because there's one word that you guys haven't said yet. Okay.
Well, I say active marketing, you're having conversations with people. Where passive marketing, you're asking them to call you, but active marketing, you're making the effort and calling, contacting them.
Yeah. Okay. So you're saying active marketing is what I would be calling prospecting.
Yes.
Okay, cool. Yeah, I agree with everything you said. Okay, here's the word that I want to throw out there. And this is a word that is relevant every day, almost in every faction of this business, which is control. Control. Okay. I can make the prettiest flyer in the universe, but if I can't get anyone to acknowledge it, then it doesn't work. Okay. Most people will read those flyers over their trash can and be like, marketing, 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 marketing. Right. And so you guys, if you let's say you get those little coupon books that's like, appliance repair people, garage door, companies, these kind of things. So let me just explain how this works, okay? And you guys know this. You get all those ads, you throw them away, throw them away, throw them away, throw them away. Okay, garage door breaks, what do? You call a friend and ask them who their garage door person is. Right? You don't go back looking in the trash or wait around for the next piece of mail to come. You call a friend. Is that right? Or you go on Facebook or something. So that's a whole different discussion of, are we penetrating the relationships with the people, right? The more people that think of us as the go-to for real estate, the easier everything else in this entire business will be, okay? What I mean by control is I make this flyer and then I put it out into the world and I hope to God they care, okay? And if they had a question, they're like, oh, I wonder more about, that specific statistic. And then the kid yells from the other room, mommy, mommy, and that thought disappears, right? I have no control over whether I get to continue that relationship or not. If I'm meeting them in person, then I can ask them all the questions in the world and direct the conversation exactly where I want it to go. Or if I'm speaking to them on the telephone, I can challenge their response, or I can dig a little deeper for more detail. Okay. And I can hit more people faster, right? More often than not. Think about it this way. You know how I've always said, when you have an issue, there's only two ways to solve your issue. One is your time and the other is your money. And your money is essentially somebody else's time, right? That makes sense? With marketing, you're generally trying to solve the issue of, I want more prospects with money. Prospecting, you're generally using more of your time. Does that make sense? Okay, so whenever I speak to somebody and they say, oh, business is tough, I need to do more marketing, what they should be saying is, business is tough, I need to do more prospecting. Okay, because marketing is kind of sitting around and hoping to God the world comes to you. It doesn't work with the frequency that you would expect. Okay. And chances are, if that's kind of your mind frame, you're not spending the time you need to be spending learning the market, studying the contracts, learning the technology, acing the questions, practicing your presentations. You're unprepared anyway, right? So I'm gonna say something that will probably sting a little bit. Okay, if you do not have an active seller listing right now, or an active buyer listing right now, or a buyer agency agreement signed, you're basically unemployed. So you have a new job when you're unemployed, which is to go find somebody to help, right? So I'm going to encourage you to take a prospecting base for your business. Okay, let me read you a quote from a guy named Rick Brash. Okay, there are motivated buyers and sellers out there. The question is, are we doing the right things to find them? Okay. A lot of times, and I'm not trying to identify anyone on the call here, but a lot of times people say, oh, I'll just put it out on my social media. The problem is who's in your audience, and are they likely to do something today, right? You follow what I'm saying? So you've been talking to that whole network for a long time and letting people know you're a realtor. They haven't shown up yet. So do we need to give them a different message? Do we need to educate them differently? Do we need to ask them different questions to get more interactions? Do we need to build the network so different people show up too? Right? Here's a quote from Linda McKissick. Linda McKissick is basically one of the pioneers of Keller Williams. My real estate business took off when I realized I had to ask for business and not be attached to the answer. I would have to get no's on my ways to yeses. I just had to ask. The more I asked, the more I got. What do you guys hear when I say that?
It reminds me of expireds and withdrawals and for sale by owners, things like that. I had a guy from last Friday who's been trying to sell his house for 9 years.
He's been trying to sell his house for 9 years?
I mean, he got so desperate as to hire Mark Spain and things like that. It was just ridiculous.
Yeah, I'd say, hey, tell me a little bit about, maybe he needs to read Shift Tactic 4. Stop doing what doesn't work and start doing what does work.
So he wanted to stay Foosbo, and I took 2 or 3 no's from him, and and that's how it was. And he mentioned that he had contacted Open Door, and I go, oh, and he says, yeah, I think they're going to have a good offer. I says, yeah, but when they come back for the inspection, they're going to cut that offer to shreds, and that got his attention. So I got the appointment for Tuesday, today, and 30 minutes later, he calls back and makes the appointment for Saturday morning. So we got which resulted in a $880,000 listing yesterday. So
you already took it?
Yeah, yesterday.
Oh man, good job.
Great job, Julian.
Thank you. I wasn't going to take no Friday. I'm telling you, I don't care what he said. After 9 years, somebody needs to help him.
Yes, so, oh my gosh.
The house next door to his is $3.4 million. This is in Country Club of the South.
Oh my goodness.
And his house is dated.
Well, what I was just explaining to the group this morning is when anyone says the house is dated, what they really mean is it is dated for the price. It's not like the home won't sell. It just won't sell for a 10 plus price if the home's a 7. Right? So when they say the driveway is too steep, what they really mean is for the price, the driveway is too steep.
Right.
Right. So there's a price that house will sell before this call is over. The question is, you just got to figure out how motivated he is or she is and how likely they are to take action. And essentially how frustrated are they at their current situation and how much activity, what are they willing to do to get out of experiencing that pain? Just a quick note on Open Door, guys. In order for you to be a great prospector, in my opinion, you got to really understand the market, right? You got to study the market. You got to know the stats and the trends. You got to know the tools, like we're going to learn again today at team meeting. Who all is out there trying to get the attention of your prospects, right? The Open Doors, the Zillows, what are their business models? What are they doing, right? The Mark Spains. I don't know the statistic in this, but I would be willing to bet the number of people that call Mark Spain and take his offer is probably 10% of the number that call Mark Spain, look at his offer and say, while you're here, let's just sell it together for market value, right? So all those Open Doors and Zillows and Mark Spains and all that direct offer, even Keller offers, it's an opportunity to get in front of the client and then present that opportunity, which is appealing to a very small percentage of the population, and promote or offer your other full service opportunity, right? So if somebody said, hey, Open Door, I'm going to get an offer from them, I'm sure it's going to be great. Say, you probably will get a decent offer from Open Door. And what I have found is that they serve a great section of our market, although it's a very small section of our market. And in my experience, I've noticed a couple of really, really important drawbacks. Do you mind if I share those with you? Right? Or it'll take about 20 minutes for me to share that with you when we meet. Would you prefer to meet in the morning or in the afternoon? Right? So don't fight them on their desire to chat with Open Door. They're going to do it anyway. You just have to express some concern and let them know that it's not there. The commercial doesn't talk about the stressful part of the transaction. The commercials talks about the great part of the transaction. So you have to introduce the other side. Does that make sense? Okay, what else have you guys heard today so far? Okay, what we're saying is the message matters, right? If your message is about short sales right now, how effective do you think that's going to be? Not all that effective. There's hardly any short sales out there, right? If your message is get a cash offer from me, or learn how to buy your home before you sell it and use your equity, call me for all the details, right? We all have access to that type of program for free, you guys. We just need to add it to our toolbox. Does that make sense?
I've got 135 postcard. They're not postcards, they're envelopes with a card in the middle with the message. Basically, our neighborhood has sold $16 million plus houses in the last 6 months and hit an all-time high on price per square foot. Call me, one of those. So it's a nice little card.
That's right. And people are going to hire, guys, the people that are the most helpful and the most persistent. Most helpful and the most persistent. That requires a couple things. Number one, it requires systems to be persistent, right? And commitment to executing those systems. And then how do you become the most helpful? Well, quite frankly, you better have the most stuff to talk about, right? You better have a big network of, painters and floors and electricians and insurance agents and, appraisers and all these kind of things. Like you better be a really good concierge, right? And you also are helpful because you are calling to offer help proactively rather than reactively. Okay. Now, one more important concept here. This is a quote from Chris Heller. Chris is the former CEO of Keller Williams. It says, "My job is to follow my schedule. If I do that, everything works. If I don't, I should be fired." That's what happens out in the real world. Who's been in the real world lately and would like to confirm that statement is true? Ryan, can I pick on you for a second?
Yes, you can.
Okay, so when you had your previous job, were you expected to follow a schedule?
Yes, somewhat.
And what happens if you kind of just blew it off?
Well, it was sales, so as long as I, brought in the sales, there was some forgiveness to it, but there was definitely things to do.
Give me another. Think back to when you had a different job that you were not judged on your results. Instead, you were judged on your just basically being in the office and following your schedule.
Yes.
Have you had one of those in the past?
Yes.
Okay. If you totally blew off your schedule, what would happen?
You'd get reprimanded, you'd have a meeting, you'd get put on probation, you could get fired.
So you guys remember that not only are you the worker, but you're the worker's boss, right? I'm not your boss. Aubrey's not your boss. You're your boss. Make sense? So what type of standards have you created for your worker, right? What type of schedule does your worker have? Do you think I'm crazy to talk about it in this way? Okay. What kind of, and let's be honest, we should reward ourselves for our great work, right? So what kind of reward does your boss offer to your worker when the worker accomplishes their goals? Right? Do they get to go on vacation? Do they get a cocktail? Do they get to buy something that's going to help their business? What happens? You see what I'm saying? So you guys got to really get good at being both the worker and being the owner of the place. Okay. So one thing that this chapter has so much, it's hard to throw it all in 1/2 hour. One of the things that it talks a lot about is, let me make this comment on the open houses. is they say taking open houses beyond the basics, and they talk about what essentially is a 7th level open house, right? It drives me crazy, and I've done it, and a lot of you guys have done it, but it drives me crazy is when somebody says, oh, it's Saturday morning, I guess I'll do an open house today. And they get one person that shows up because they gave it a half-ass effort and they got less than half-ass results, and they're like, open houses aren't for me. Come on. You didn't even give it an effort, right? How did you plus? Can you plus what you did, right? So like sign in the yard would be level 1. Sign in the yard with some balloons and riders would be level 2. Sign in the yard with balloons and riders and then some directional signs at all the key corners with balloons and riders. That would be step 3. Step 4 would be all that plus flyers the week before, email invites posted on the website. Step 5, go to the neighborhood, all the stuff we just said, and then go to the neighborhood and tell 100 of the neighbors, right? Step 6 is go to do all that stuff and then get on the phone with everyone and remind them it's happening. The next one would be hold all 4 other open houses in the neighborhood or nearby. Oh, this one only has 3 bedrooms, but the one over on Hill Street, that's got 4 homes. Cynthia's the one hosting the open house over there. You know, go tell her I said hi, make sure she's doing okay. There'll be plenty of balloons to show you how to get there. You see what I'm saying? So whenever you're thinking about like, how do I do this job? I want you to also have in your back of your mind, how do I plus this a little bit? How do I make this a better experience? Right? What is it safe to say that, and I don't mean any offense by this, but is it safe to say that like your needs are going to get met for the most part if you stay in a Holiday Inn? Okay, I mean, they're going to have coffee, a bed, a TV, that kind of stuff, right? So why does somebody go spend $500 a night on a hotel room? It's because they're willing to pay for the experience or the difference in experience. Right. So what is the difference in your experience? You follow that? Okay. Somebody who hasn't spoken, talk to me today. What are you learning?
I'm learning that my open house this weekend needs some preparation today.
Oh, yes, it does. It does.
You can do a circle prospect to that neighborhood and pick up the phone calls to invite the people in say a quarter of a mile or something, or 1/8 of a mile.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Anyone else want to share something they've learned? All right, let's cover one more concept. Time blocking. Okay. In order for you to find the motivated, we got to have time to find the motivated. Fair? Okay. So if I were to follow you guys around today, no one needs to answer this question, but if I followed you around today, at the end of the day, would I know what you did? Say, gosh, I think this guy might be a professional Facebook looker, right? Right? I think this guy might be a chef because he spent all day in the kitchen at home instead of working, right? Or would I be able to watch you and say, damn, that guy's organized, okay? He knew exactly when he was supposed to do this task and did it. He knew exactly when he was supposed to do that task and he did it that also, right? So if I were to look at your schedule, would I know what you are, how serious you were about your business, right? If I were to look at your checking account, I know what you were serious about, right? Are you serious about eating out? Are you serious about going to the bar? Are you serious about making charitable donations? Are you serious about, health food, right? The facts are the facts. You see what I'm saying? So the way that you're going to have great success is making certain that you have time to have great success. Right? It says, let's see. At the risk of being blatantly obvious, I feel compelled to point out that in order for you to truly be a successful lead generator, you must actually do lead generation. You must do it a lot. You can't do it one day here and one day there, and you can't do it for an hour here and an hour there. An inconsistent approach can get you leads, but it won't give you anywhere near the number of leads you'll need when the market shifts. You're going to need a lot of leads, and that means you're going to need to do a lot of lead generating. You must do it every day. You must do it several hours a day, and you must do it every work day for the rest of your career. You must ramp it up and keep it up. No negotiations. Because what happens, guys, when we don't have any leads is we start thinking not leads are leads. We start thinking the unmotivated are motivated. We start considering driving an hour away from our house to service prospects. Oh, well, Dacula? I guess I'll go learn about Dacula today because that's my only prospect. It's not called Dacula, by the way. You see what I'm saying? Well, Valdosta? Yeah, I got this investor down in Valdosta. God, fire that guy and go find somebody more motivated local. Y'all see that? Okay. I said a phrase to a couple people this weekend, or at the end of last week for coaching calls. I said, if the most important thing is the most important thing, why would you ever do anything else? So what do you guys think the most important thing you could do today is?
Lead gen.
Get a client.
Find
Okay.
someone motivated.
Man, you guys are good. I agree. So I would love find somebody who needs your help. Donna says every single day, there is somebody, I might butcher the delivery, but there is somebody in my community today who needs my help. My job is to find that person. The good news, guys, is there's way more than one person in your community that needs your help today. Okay. So I want you guys to think in terms of standards. Okay. The standard for my business, I'm just throwing out a possible standard. The standard for my business is I find one person each day who wants to do a transaction in the next 12 months that might consider working with me. And you hit that person by 8:15, go play golf all day. You've done a great job. Okay. But if you go a whole week and you haven't talked to a single person that has a goal of buying or selling this year, you gotta ask yourself, have I been working properly? Like, is this something I need to stop doing and start doing something different? Okay. Now, and hopefully it goes without saying, but I'll say the same way, is how do you identify if somebody's motivated? You ask them. You just straight up ask them, right? Tell me, when are you hoping to get this goal accomplished by? You want to move to Chicago? Tell me what's going on in Chicago. What's got you thinking about Chicago? Moving is hard. What's got that on the radar for you? Right? They're willing to put themselves through what basically scientists say is one of the most stressful experiences of their life. It's like death, divorce, moving. Okay, they're willing to put themselves through that. Why? Does that make sense? And when they answer that question, you're going to figure out exactly how to serve them and exactly how to follow up with them. Okay, one reason, this thought popped in my head, we'll end with this, is in the second half of the year, I want us to start looking for as much consistency as we can. So consistency to me is the kind of step one consistency is to have a workstation. Like, where do you work? Every single time I have ever seen Michael, he is sitting in the exact same place. Okay. I think that's great.
He never leaves.
I don't care. As long as the phone is within arm's reach, I'm cool. Somebody else can go to the closing. You just stay right there and keep making calls. Okay. My point is that if your workspace is erratic, then your resources are going to be erratic. Your tools are going to be erratic, right? I'm assuming, Michael, and you don't have to answer this, but it's a hint if the answer is no. Within an arm's reach of where you are is a buyer intake sheet or a seller intake sheet, right? Or the stats for the day. How many homes have been listed in the last 7 days? How many homes have been going under contract in the last 7 days? You might have a Chartmaster slide or two that you can easily recite. You might have a list of questions that you ask a seller prior to attending the listing presentation. Hopefully you have a list, maybe your daily, I'm really going on a limb here, your daily success tracker that identifies the promises that you make, and you have a system for making sure all of those get completed today, right? You probably have a system for, oh, I realized that, Joe just got married and his new wife is named, Sarah or whatever. Or gosh, Joe and Sarah just got divorced. I need to take the one contact thing and make 2, right? Or, oh, Sarah's got a new email address now. I'll deal with that later. You see what I'm saying? So if you're always out and about and you've got kind of no hub, then you're at a disadvantage. Does that make sense? Okay. Give me one aha for the day, and then we will be off. Who wants to share an aha? What was the most important thing you heard or learned today? Don't be bashful.
Control the prospects.
Control, great word. Great word. If you lack control, then you just receive whatever you receive. You're basically in the lead receiving business. You send out a marketing piece to the world, and then you sit around and receive whatever comes of it. It's very difficult to control your income when you approach business that way. Okay. The alternative, as we know, is to go out there and initiate conversations, right? The cool thing about being a real estate agent is that every single person you see is a potential prospect. They all got to live somewhere, right? They're either going to own the home they live in or they're going to rent the home they live in. Good news, we can help with both. Does it make sense?
Yep.
All right, guys. Please do not forget to send me a RSVP if you guys are missing the, if you have not told me whether you're coming on Wednesday night. And I just want to let me end with this idea. We talked a little bit last week in Bold about being an amateur agent versus a professional agent. Okay. I want you guys to be professionals. Professionals watch their time. They learn what to ask. They practice asking it, right? You think LeBron James gets to the game at 8 o'clock well, he ain't going to any games right now, but you think Devin Booker, do you think that he'll be practicing this morning and stretching this morning and looking at the playbook this morning and preparing? So at 8 o'clock at night, he's already warmed up and he's ready to go? Or do you think he shows up at 7:55 and wings it? And there are definitely people on this call, myself included, who have wung it. Is that a word? Who have winged it, right? And there's also times where you've prepared and you probably have better results. Is that fair? Professionals practice until they cannot get it wrong. That's right. That's very right. All right, guys, I appreciate the honor of being in business with you all. I'm excited to see you and your biggest cheerleader on Wednesday night. And if you could pop in any numbers that you might be missing so I can make some announcements on how awesome you did last month, that would be fantastic. Y'all have a great day.
Thanks, Bill.